Record. Well, great morning, great morning, great morning to each of you. We are excited to have you here this morning. I am Lauren Levins. I am the chair for the Education and Workforce Development Committee of the Atlanta Black Chambers. And we are excited to be able to bring to you today AI in Workforce Development webinar. Now, this is going to be an amazingly jam-packed webinar, and you're going to get tons of valuable information that you are able to take with you in so many different capacities to really engage and improve and even enhance your workforce and the overall workforce, right? Because none of us are going to get too far in business, regardless if we're in the public or the private sector, if our workforce is not strong and it is not properly reinforced and aligned. And so this conversation is very pertinent to the direction in which we are trending regarding AI. A lot of people are afraid of AI. A lot of people are intimidated by AI. They aren't really sure what direction to go in and how to incorporate it, nor really how to effectively use it. But one thing that we know is it is here and it is not going anywhere. In all honesty, AI has been here long before a lot of people realize. If you were ever paying attention to how slowly but surely you started noticing that you would say certain things and all of a sudden it would pop up on your screen, or you would have gone and you looked at something on another site and all of a sudden it was trending and it was following you. And this happened, I want to say I started noticing this probably between 7 to 10 years ago. And so that was AI in a different form. Now it's just really in your face and super easily accessible. And we see the robots driving down the street. I remember driving down, I want to say I was in West Midtown, and all of a sudden, I saw this bot just strolling down the street and it was carrying somebody's food to their door, like a hot meal to their door, right? Just interesting little things like that, or even just the cars that are going past us now with no driver. It's just complete AI. We are definitely in a world that has incorporated AI into every facet of what we're doing in a very interconnected way. And so it's imperative that we have this conversation. We use it to leverage and catapult our different initiatives and our purposes in this life. And so without further ado, I'm going to dive in, and I guess I'll tell you a little bit about myself, because from there, I want the attention to be on our wonderful panelists who are going to really deep dive with you into this AI and workforce development conversation. As previously stated, I am Lauren Levins. I am the chair of the Education and Workforce Development Committee. I have a very in-depth background in the education field, ranging from secondary ed, where I was once a K-12, or really I was a 6 through 12 classroom educator with the Spanish language and designing instruction and curriculum, where I had the pleasure of teaching both middle and high school. And everybody's like, middle school? Who wants to teach? I actually love teaching middle school, just like I love teaching high school. I like the big people. And so, and so I also have had the pleasure of facilitating in adult education spaces, as well as in professional development in the private sector, in the public sector. I've been very blessed in my career with the education background, and currently I have a children's book series that I'm working on called Gabby Goes. And Gabby Goes is all about my international world travels that I have accrued since the age of 20. So I am excited to be able to share that in a capacity that really lends itself to creating a dialogue more consistent along the lines of language acquisition, cross-cultural acquisition, as well as just exposing the mind to experiences across the world as I operate in a very international capacity. And so I also have an education education consulting company that I created that took my instruction and curriculum design skill sets and brought them to the table to be able to utilize that to help other people leverage their skill sets and grow and scale their companies as needed for professional development purposes. So I am extremely excited to be here with you all this morning and to bring to you two very dynamic individuals who are going to rock your world in AI and workforce development. But before I do that, we are blessed with the presence of having our president and CEO of the Atlanta Black Chambers on our call this morning. And Melvin, I know you just wrapped up Tuesday Talks not just a little minute ago, but I did want to bring you the opportunity to have the floor and say something should you desire to do so before we dive in.
It's a good thing that I stay ready because I did not know, right? I'm sitting here doing whatever, just hanging out. But I'm just so excited because the Education and Workforce Development Committee was not active for a very long time, and that that was a problem for me because obviously this space, this arena, we got to have a presence and we got to be working together, addressing all of the challenges that impact our community. So I'm excited to have Lauren in this role, and I'm seeing a team come together, and that's what this is all about. Shout out to the members who are here, and then those of you who are just tapping in because this is another example of what the ABC does. We're going to give you that relevant content, stuff that you want to learn about and engage with the right people. So I'm just excited that I'm seeing this come together at last, and then I got the right person running it, of course. So thank you, Lauren, for the opportunity. Glad to be here, and I'll be listening. Thank you.
As always, Melvin, thank you as well. And so you guys have heard from Melvin Coleman, our president and our CEO of the Atlanta Black Chambers. And now we're going to bring in our dynamic panelists. And I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves because let me tell you, they are some powerful, high achieving individuals. And I don't think that I could necessarily do them the justice that they deserve. And I think it's imperative that we always hear from the horse's mouth, so to speak, who they are, what they bring to the table, their level of expertise, because they are very well versed and they are very well established in the education arena and in workforce development. And so they are perfectly positioned to be able to bring this information to you today. And we're going to start with I prefer to let the ladies go first, So Courtney Quaterman, we're going to bring you to the forefront first and allow you to introduce yourself. And then Dr. Robert Joseph, we will bring you to the forefront to introduce yourself as our other expertise panelist.
Awesome, awesome. Well, welcome to everyone. Again, we're just so excited for you to be a part of this conversation, this needful conversation. As Lauren has already said, I want to thank Lauren. Lauren has done an amazing job leading the committee. It is very exciting. It's new. It is much needed in this day and time, as you know that. So even this topic as well. And thank you, Melvin, for being here, for supporting this great effort. And thank you, Robert, for just being here. He's doing great things. I'll let him share about himself. But yes, my name is Courtney. I am an Atlanta native. And my heart really is for just innovation in education and the workplace as well. Oh gosh, my background. Let me launch into it. I'm going to give the quick version, Lauren. So I have done a lot of work with strategic partnerships when it comes to helping advance students as well as educators in AI and data science specifically. I consider myself an AI and data science education consultant. Currently, I work for the Atlanta University Consortium under a project called the AUC Data Science Initiative. You may be familiar with that. And we work with HBCUs across the country, and the goal really is preparing a workforce. You may know, even in lieu of our current administration, is such a need to focus on career development for our students of diverse backgrounds. So we focus upon that across the country. I also work on data science education and upskilling and advocacy at the federal level when it comes to making sure that our K-12 education is reflective of the need, really preparing an AI-enabled economy. You'll hear that wording a lot from some of our partners, such as Microsoft and Google, and on and on. So It definitely takes a community to make this happen. I want to applaud all of you all because this is a conversation that all of us are having. Lauren gave a great grand introduction, but the way things are changing so much, it is we're all continuously being upskilled on these needs in AI. My own background, my undergraduate work from Tennessee State University and HBCU as well, was in chemistry. I did my master's in mathematics, and I'm currently a PhD data science student at Meharry School of Applied Computational Sciences. So I am putting my money where my mouth is. I'm investing in not only making sure that educators are able to be upskilled in what's needed, but also just the workforce and our students and making sure that they're prepared. So I have my hands in a little bit of everything. I'm also the founder of the Sister Circle Collaborative. So I love my women of diverse backgrounds specifically and love to support them. I can drop a link to that on LinkedIn, but basically it is a network devoted to promoting and highlighting women of color in STEM, computer science, AI, and data science education. So we just are so glad to have you all here and look forward to this conversation.
Courtney, amazing. Thank you so much. Told you sometimes you have to let people speak for themselves and they can do themselves way more justice than you ever could. So thank you so much, Courtney, for the introduction. And Dr. Joseph, we're going to bring you to the forefront so that you will have the same opportunity to introduce yourself before we dive into the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And hello, my name is Dr. Robert Joseph, and I'm co-founder of Team Mindshift. We do transformational talent and workforce development in the IT arena. There are 4 things that I want you to know about me. 1, education, undergrad, MIT, PhD, Carnegie Mellon, in computer science with a minor in AI when AI was almost cool. 2, my corporate experience. Before Team Mindshift, I was a senior data scientist and then a director at Stanley Black & Decker, dealing with machines and Industry 4.0. So I have some corporate experience. The 3rd thing is that I'm also a university professor and have been one for 20 years, teaching over 5,000 students in various degrees of adult learners to college students. And then the last thing is that I'm a father of 2 dynamic young men. They are my heart and they are awesome. And whenever I give a talk, I try and mention them. And that's it.
Love it, Robert. See, doing your own justice, doing your own justice. And you know what? I actually just learned some new things about you in that conversation, Robert, and the introduction. So I'm actually glad that I gave you the floor and the opportunity to do so. So what we're going to do is we're going to shift into the conversation. And I want to give you guys a little bit of Black excellence indeed. So one thing I want to do is give you guys a little context of how we're going to flow. I'm going to start the conversations off, right? And we're going to actually have a dialogue. This is not going to be a presentation. We're going to see a presentation pop up on the screen and we talk to the screen. We're not going to do any of that. We're actually going to be having a dialogue. And what I want to invite you all to do is to, if there are questions that you have in the chat, please feel free to put those questions. If there are any questions that you have, please feel free to put those questions into the chat. And intermittently, if we have time, and I'm hoping that we will have time, I will be able to actually allow you all to come off of mute and ask the question yourself instead of me always having to direct the question. So I want this to be interactive. You guys are already very engaging in the chat, which I love. And I honestly expected nothing less from this conversation. So continue the chat, continue to enjoy yourselves, take notes. Breathe a little bit. I know that I saw some of you saying, hey, we just had a conversation about incorporating chat into our workforce, right? Into our workplace. And I'm just going to tell you that chat is just one of the so many AI tools that are out there. It is just the most popular one. But we're going to have conversations, even lending to some of that and those different resources in terms of AI. And so I want to go ahead and I want to have the conversation start with, and I'm going to start with you, Courtney. Can you share your perspective on how AI is currently shaping workforce development?
Oh, wow. That's a good one. So I was actually at Microsoft Tech Center in Minnesota. They have tech centers across the country. And I'm going to share a quote that the director of that tech center shared. And it was that you're going to have a workforce that knows how to use AI, and you're going to have a workforce that does not know how to use AI. So I think there is a polarity that comes when you know how to infuse AI into your work and when you don't use AI. I also heard, I don't know if you all have heard of Margaret Spence. If you have not, follow her. She is an amazing, amazing African-American woman, and she has been working in the space of AI for many years. At South by Southwest, I was able to sit in her session, and it is definitely, she highlighted the divide that's coming between those who use AI in their work and those who don't. So that's really, what's happening is there's a shift of those who know how to use it to be more efficient, to be more productive, to have greater outcomes, and those who don't. So, and
Let
that
me and repeat her name for us again, Courtney, just to make
Margaret
sure we have it.
Spence. Yes, Margaret
Okay.
Spence. Yes, and she's amazing. She has been leading the work of AI for years. She's quite a force. And so if you are wanting to get upskilled, she's on Substack as well, but she posts probably weekly, but follow her, go get anything she writes because she is definitely a leader in the space.
Okay, awesome. And Robert, Dr. Joseph, I want to allow you the opportunity to answer that question as well, because I think it's very important for both of you to start that conversation, right? One person may have one perspective and another one may have another perspective, or something that they want to add value to the previous statement. So I'll give you the floor to answer the same question, sharing your perspective on how AI is currently shaping our workforce development.
Great. Thank you. And I actually want to provide another perspective. I know this is a conversation about AI, but I think that the workforce is going to support the people that can solve the problems that industries have in a way that provides efficiency. And that's more than AI. And people just have this mind, I need to learn AI, I need to learn AI. That's just like saying, I need to learn how to use Google search, or I need to learn how to use chat. It's really about, how do I use the tools of the day in order to get my job done quicker, better, more effectively? That is who the workers, that are the people that are going to be hired. And AI can be a big part of that, but AI isn't the lead. It's actually problem solving that's the lead. And I saw somebody in the chat say, I'm not very good at math. That really has nothing to do with your use of AI. That has nothing to do with your use of problem solving. It might be a tool that you could use there, but if you start to get in the mindset of, what are the problems that really need to be solved that will help my business, my company, my organization to thrive? And then what are the tools available for me to use to do that? And understanding where AI fits in that tool set. That would be my change in perspective, because we are Team Mindshift.
Well, no, you know what? No, I like that. And let me tell you why I like that piece. Because one, a lot of us jump into business just based on our skill set, right? We don't actually take the time to identify a problem that we're solving. We're just trying to, hey, I don't want to work for anyone else. I want to get out of being an employee, and I just want to jump out here and I want to do this. And I'm just going to start this business because this is what I know how to do. But, and although that skill may be something that can bring monetary success to you or support to you, at the same time, are you solving a problem with that skill? Because if your skill or if your business isn't solving a problem, it doesn't matter whether you use AI or not, you are not going to be as successful and going to spin your wheels for much longer than necessary. So I definitely think that's a good point. And then the other point that you made about AI being a tool, it is another tool to add to the box. It is not the end all be all. Yes, you have a lot of people who are out here, and this leads to my next question. A lot of people are afraid because the conversation is that AI is going to take their jobs, and people will no longer there will no longer be a need for human capital. You'll just use nothing but robots and AI to do everything under the sun. And if we're really talking about and we really know and understand how to use AI, then we know there is a lot of talking and prompting and programming that you have to do to get your bot or to get AI to do and generate what it is that you actually need, right? It's not just a cookie cutter, simple, dry type of tool set. But can we speak to the misconceptions that people have about AI and jobs? And I guess I'll let you take that one first, Dr. Joseph, since you kind of started us on the conversation of misconceptions with AI.
Sure. So in terms of jobs, I would say in your job, think about what is the most time-consuming thing that you're doing, or what is the thing that you like doing but could use some more efficiency there. And then figure out what tools are available for you to be able to do that. So let's just take simple Chat GPT or what's called a large language model you want to deal with. And those are the things out there that allow you to type in some text and get some answers back. And Gemini is Google's. Microsoft has Copilot. OpenAI has Chat GPT, and so forth and so on. You could use any variety of those. What those allow you to do, I like to think of those as, a good friend that has a lot of knowledge about a lot of things and gossips a lot and doesn't always tell you the truth, but it makes it sound really good. And so whenever you use these tools, you can use them for whatever you use a good friend for, and you want to verify it. So for instance, if you need a thought partner saying, hey, I am doing this, is there a more effective way of doing it? It might come up with some rules, some things that you hadn't thought about. Or B, I have this document that I'm trying to go through. Let me ask questions about the document so it can give you some really good insight about documents. Or 3, it might be useful if you're, like you said, not good at numbers. It's like, hey, I've got all these surveys. Let me see what insights I can get from them. So if you start to think about these tools from the standpoint of how they can help you to be more effective, to solve problems, or to give you some additional insight, then that expands your use of it. It puts you way ahead of somebody else. For me, for example, I am a programmer, but I have developed 2x to 10x time more efficiency by having the knowledge of this is what I want to do and have the system program it, and then me making tweaks along the way, or saying, oh, I want to add this thing because I know about programming, I know it can be added, and I want to add it this way. So it really is a tool that you can experiment with and not worry about any issues. The thing that you want to think about in terms of the I gotchas in AI is 1, hallucination. And that's where it will give you an answer or give you some information that sounds good, but is totally wrong. And if you're an expert in the field and you're looking for ideas, then it's not necessarily that those ideas are wrong. They're just things that you can evaluate. But if you're looking for actual information, then you can ask AI to say, okay, where are your sources, and go and check those sources. You don't have to just take it at face value, just like you do a good friend. The second thing that I wanted to say is that you want to have the mindset again of what is it that can help me, or what is it can help my company, or what is it can help whatever it is that you're trying to do. And then from that standpoint, move forward. And that's how I think you get ahead in the workforce.
I like that. I like that a lot, Dr. Joseph. And to your point, I have a lot of people saying, well, I want to learn another language, so I'm just going to use chat, right? And they always have these conversations with me because they know I speak another language. And so I always tell them, I've actually had someone use chat to translate something for them. And then they came back to me and they asked me to double check it. And there was a lot that I had to correct on chat's behalf, because it is not an end all be all and does not know everything, because it also doesn't know to consider different dialects. Yeah. And if you aren't well versed in this particular arena, you don't know to tell it to look for these dialects. Like I know the different dialects of the Spanish language. I speak over 30 of them myself, and there are like 100 and something dialects. So I can go in and I can tell it this dialect, and I can tell you that this word does not work in this capacity, in this country, in this region. But if you want well versed in your topic like that, you can't catch those mistakes. And now you've copied and pasted something and sent the wrong message to someone. So that's a great point to have. Courtney, I do want to ask you, because it looked like you had something that you wanted to add really quick in regards to the misconceptions about AI and jobs. So what's your perspective and your take on that?
Sure. I'll start with, I worked for years on engineering standards in K-12 schools. Yes, my background is an educator as well. So I was with the Museum of Science Boston, and our theme was building a generation of problem solvers. So I will be the first to admit that it definitely is the growth mindset, the perseverance, the engineering habits of mind is what we used to call it. And there's durability skills. There's a lot of other terms that are out there now that is really going to cause someone to stand out. You can have me using AI tools, and then you can have a colleague beside me using AI tools. We could have completely different experiences. So the magic is obviously not in the tool, right? What I would encourage all of us, as myself, is just to be a continuous learner, to play with different tools, to test different tools. There are, I don't have any that I'm going to share readily, but prompt engineering is it's a skill set. Get good at knowing how to prompt AI for what you need. Get good at knowing your own workspace, use it. Like Lauren opened us up with, AI has been around for a long time. When you think about calendaring events, when you think about scheduling or tasks or oh gosh, predictive text, there's many things, right? This is not new. So it's always been there. It is equal opportunity, so to speak, because all of us have access to all these open access tools. However, the differentiator is going to be who is able to upskill themselves in knowing how to solve problems using it. So just continue to try different tools, test them out. I use Perplexity. I'm a big fan of Perplexity. It does have several engines in it as well. It uses code. I mean, some people, I had a robust debate with someone that is a leader in data science education. Is AI a thought partner? Is it not? We have teenagers and young people that are using it to Google the simplest thing from their thoughts. But you really need to think, what is the opposite of artificial intelligence? Okay. And then when you think about yourself in the workplace and your value proposition, what value am I bringing apart maybe from my colleague and apart from what an AI tool? And when you begin answering that question, you really begin to hone in on, your own value proposition and what you need to lean into. So, AI, like anything, it's what you make it. It's how you use it. I use it, probably 30% of my day.
Yeah.
Different tools, oh gosh, Julius, Chat 5.0, building an LLM right now. It's around AI workforce development. We're doing a lot of research around it as well. So, that would be my encouragement.
No, I love that. And before I jump into the next question that I have for you, Courtney, I actually want to encourage you all, if you have questions that are not being asked that you want asked, please make sure you put them in the chat. There are some who actually put some questions in earlier. I did grab those, and I will be asking those coming up, or asking you to come off of mute to ask your question. But I definitely want to encourage you guys, if you have questions, please put them in the chat. So Courtney, I want to bring this particular question to you. And some of the educators who we were speaking with earlier on before we actually started the webinar will be able, and they will appreciate this question. What role do you see for community colleges, training providers, or universities in preparing workers for AI-enabled roles?
Wow, that is that is a question I love. And I did not see that question, Lauren, did I? Oh goodness. But I'm going to lean into that. So I managed the Microsoft partnership with Avid for many years. I see some of my colleagues on here. And I also right now work with the AUC, as I mentioned earlier, the Atlanta University Center Data Sciences Initiative. So I always think of a triangle. There's a need for industry expertise to sync, to intersect with the work of our students and our higher learning students like never before. And part of it is because there's no way to be upskilled without our industry being involved. Things are so rapidly changing. And I've seen this work beautifully where industry experts are able to go in, they're able to help the educators then be able to teach what's needed. There's, I hosted a panel last year, and one of the main quotes that stuck out with me from our Google rep, amazing principal engineer, was they have to go overseas. And nothing wrong. I mean, I love international, but we should be able to find people right in our backyard. We have all these talented students right here in our country. Why do we need to do that? And so it really is the application of it. And sometimes what we're getting in the institution of education is not the applied version that's needed for them to be able to then go out and use it in industry. Therefore, the triangulation of that relationship of the industry expert, the partner, the school, the university, whatever it may be, is critical. And so I work on that. We're actually hosting something, and this is it's for HBCUs. We're bringing Microsoft, Google, a lot of partners. So reach out to me if you're interested. But basically, focused around helping students be exposed to careers and innovation in tech, engineering, data science degrees, data science majors. Because we really want them just to have access. So we need companies to help us build access.
No, that's critical because there are
right now around because of all of the rollbacks with DEI, right? There are so many initiatives around making sure opportunities are being presented at our HBCUs or in institutions that have a dense enough population of minorities. Specifically, a lot of people are angling towards African Americans inside of our higher education institutions because they're just so many attacks on DEI. So that is valuable information. Okay, so this is a question. I'm going to go to the audience, and either of you can answer this one. So are there, let me see which question I want to go to first, because we've actually gotten some great questions in the chat already, and I want to make sure I give it its due justice. Okay. If you had friends or kids going to school, what degree would you say is best for an AI career? And I'm going to actually, Robert, I'm going to let you take the lead on that question and provide us with your insight of what you're seeing inside of higher education institutions.
Sure. I think there are two aspects to that question. The first aspect, I want to just use an analogy. I know how to use Microsoft Word, and so does Stephen King. But he produces a lot better books than I do. So, should I get a degree in Microsoft Word? That sounds absurd, but that's kind of what I hear about, a degree in AI. Now, if you are actually looking to develop AI further, and that means building LLMs or taking out the bias of them or doing something along those lines, then I would say a computer science degree or a degree in AI where you're thinking about and talking about actually how to improve that particular tool. Just like if I were going to be working on word processors, I would get a computer science degree. Now, if you're talking about using AI, I would say get a degree in what it is that you're interested in, and then use AI in getting that degree. One of the things that I see as a trend in education, period, in terms of AI is, in terms of education, period, is, well, let me back up. I'm on the advisory board for the computer science department of Georgia State University. And I've been in education for, like I said, 20 some years. And a lot of things that I think educators do is to try and teach a particular skill set.
Robert
And
Joseph.
yes. And when you go to an industry or go to a company, they don't really care about the skill set. They care about you being able to solve a problem. And so I think that educational institutions need to think about what is it that industry needs, and that's critical thinking and problem solving, and then incorporate AI in that process of using it to solve problems. And so give students problems that are real world problems that don't have a clean answer to, that have ambiguity, that have incorrect information, and have them figure out how to analyze and say, oh, I need more information, I need more direction, I need more this, where do I go and get that? Have them figure out, oh, this information isn't accurate. What is not accurate about it? How do I figure out what the accurate piece is? And then also, how do I use an AI tool to help me to do this? That's the direction that I think that it should take. And in terms of the degree, I think the degree should be in line with somebody's passion.
So as you were saying that, I literally was sitting over here saying to myself, well, again, AI is a tool. What skill set do you have? What is your purpose, right? I think we need to get some focus back to what is our purpose? What will we put here to do on this earth? And then we add the necessary tools to support that mission and that purpose versus zoning in on just the money. Because I know that's what people see with AI. They see the money, the opportunity with the money, and they want to go in that direction. But you could do that. And like you said, unless you're looking to getting into building LLMs like Courtney, that's her lane, right? If you're not looking to get into that type of work, if you're not looking to further AI's positioning and its purpose in our world, you don't necessarily need a certificate. I could still leverage what the skill set that I have regarding AI and how I use it in my business and my expertise and my background to solve a problem. And that's where you become valuable versus you trying to run and get a certificate in AI. And I'm glad we had that conversation because that's a big misconception of thinking that I need to run and I need to go and get a degree or a certificate in this in order to be of value. And that is absolutely not the case. So, because I had someone else ask, well, what level of degree would you need to get into the field of AI? So that kind of lends to that conversation as well, right? The degree that you would need is a bachelor's degree. Get your, or if you don't want to go to a 4-year institution, and both of you can chime in on this, technical colleges get you a certificate, and you can still have AI in your pocket, in your back pocket. It does not have to be the overall encompassing end all be all. Yeah. So that's my take on it, and that's definitely what I'm getting from what both Dr. Joseph and Courtney are sharing with us. So with that being said, I have another. Courtney, was that you? Oh, Dr. Joseph, go ahead.
One of the things I'd like to add too is that AI has the potential to be an equalizer.
Yeah.
And so using it as a tool gives especially underestimated communities a leg up. And the reason I say that is because we are some of the most inventive people around. And if we focused on using it as a tool, we'll come up with ways that people haven't been thinking of how to use this tool. We'll come up with things that we'll be able to do that other people aren't thinking of because of the perspective that we have from our history and from our culture. And so I am a big proponent of having people use AI. I just want people to understand that it is a tool to use and then use your own creativity to do it. And and the other thing that's really frustrating for me is that people say, oh, I just use it for this, or oh, I just use it for that. And they underestimate what they're able to do with it because it's easy for them, or it just sort of makes sense to them, or whatever the case may be. And I want people to realize that if you're using AI, just work on extending it instead of saying, oh yeah, I'm not using it for much. So those are my two pet peeves.
Yeah, and
Two
I'll just
thoughts.
add in, yeah, I'll add in quickly. Something that really resonates is actually something you shared, Lauren. Love what you both shared. But oh gosh, following your passion. Again, going back to, we can get kind of heady, like, oh, it's a money grab. Oh, it's sexy because the word AI is on it. Oh, I just want to be an AI. And they said AI career. My first thought, well, what is that? What does that mean? I love to unpack that. What does that mean, AI career? So, but lean into your passion. Use it. You are the valuable, you are the value, you are the prize, what you bring as a person. And so all this is coming at us. And the temptation is to say, oh, I need to get this, I need to get that, or I need to get this. But lean back a little bit from the artificial intelligence into your passion, your talents, your gifts, and then use as a tool to help you get upskilled. And so it is. I love what you said, Robert. It is equal opportunity. It is. However, just like anything else that's ever happened in society, it's not going to be equal outcomes. And so it's going to be what we make of it and how we use it. So it would behoove us to lean into ourselves, our own intelligence, and then, begin to use what's out there to help upskill. But those who use it, as I shared at the beginning, are definitely going to be efficient. I'm a big fan. Don't get me wrong. I use it all day, but it's the how and knowing how to use it. So, yeah.
And so both of you hit on what my next question was going to be, which was how can we ensure that AI and workforce development doesn't leave behind marginalized or underserved communities, right? So I want to take, since we've already started on that topic, and this is, I love alignment because this is how alignment works. It just kind of flows into the next. So I want to take it a step further, and I want to ask, and this can be for either of you, if both of you want to chime in, can you give some actual steps or some very strategic nuggets on how to actually use AI in workforce development to ensure that the marginalized communities are not being left behind? We hit on it and we talked about how, that's how we should use it, but what can we specifically do in order for that to actually be implemented and executed on our end?
I can start with that while Courtney has some time to think. One of the things that I always recommend people to do is start with something that you're interested in. Start with a hobby. Start with something that, if you're able to do additional things in that area, it would add value to. And I'll give you an example. I like jigsaw puzzles. And I tell this to so many people. My business partner is tired of hearing about this, but I really do like jigsaw puzzles. I've done over 200 jigsaw puzzles from 25 pieces to 1,500 pieces. And I wanted to display my jigsaw puzzles. So I put a URL in the chat about the jigsaw puzzles that I've done. I used ChatGPT to write the code that allowed me to put this jigsaw puzzle thing together. And it took me, maybe a half a day for it to write the code. If I'd done it myself, it might have been, 2 days, 3 days of writing code. So I took something that I really liked, took pictures of the jigsaw puzzle that I did, sent those jigsaw puzzles up to Fiverr and paid maybe $30 to get them framed so that they'd be nice to be able to put on the site. Asked ChatGPT to write some code that in Python that would take this directory of pictures and create this page for me. And this is what I got. And so if you're interested in gardening and there's something that you want to do in gardening, like, oh, I like gardening, but I want to do it this way, what plants would you recommend? Or I like doing crochet. What are some patterns that I should try as a beginner? Whatever it is that you like doing, use chat GPT or use a large language model to
That's
get
good. Mhm.
to do that. That would be my, and the reason I say use what you like is because I find when I was teaching web programming at Georgia State, the kids, I'd say your final project's to build a website. You can use whatever technology you want. You can do whatever it is. You just need to use a database, use Ajax, the stuff that we learned. I found that they did more work on building their website because they were interested in it than they did if I just said, here's the assignment and here's the things that you want to do. So if you pick something that you're interested in, then you start to understand that technology in a more intimate level, because you have a problem that you're trying to solve or a goal that you're trying to get to, and you will figure out the different ways of getting to that goal. And it's just amazing. So pick something you're interested in, and that will translate over, and then figure out how to translate that over to a job or whatever. But you're now learning the techniques of figuring out how to solve a problem or figuring out how to make things more efficient. That's my 2 cents.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Courtney, did you have something that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I think that we all need to, I actually like that he shared that placing it in the context of narrative. So when you tell a story, you're able to get something versus rather just listening to a set of facts. So if you are exploring AI or tools in the context of your own passion, anything you want, do that. Take a few minutes a day to different things. I saw somebody put recipe in the chat, different things that interest you, genuinely interest you, that you're going to be able to conceptually take forward and understand every day. Take 5 to 10 minutes and you will get good at prompt engineering. It's not magic. I mean, that you have to practice it. The old saying, practice makes perfect. Just continue to use it in the context of whatever you need and see what your outcomes are. Now, I do a lot of advocacy, as I said earlier, in data science education. I personally believe data science is a huge key and a hook to kind of what's under the hood of AI. So our schools, you may remember some years ago, there was a podcast that went viral about the need to overhaul mathematics in schools because of who's using pre-cal, who's using some of our, when is the last time, and I ask this in sometimes seminars, that you actually took out paper and pencil and did a division problem using the standard algorithm? We don't. Maybe some people do, maybe a teacher does, a math teacher does. However, making sure that what you're teaching, even if it's your children, your young adults, or even your colleagues as you're around, spend some time in anything that's going to enhance you in your computational thinking. That looks like what Robert mentioned earlier, the puzzles. That looks like plugging and play on AI tools. That looks like doing some crossword puzzles, or even different things that you see online, different apps that even help build that skill set. And the biggest thing is just try the tools. There's no, way through, but through. So yeah, it's equal access out there.
And I like that both of you definitely continue to reiterate the same thing in terms of making sure that you start with something that interests you and that is your passion, right? Because that is going to keep your attention, and that is going to keep you coming back for more and more and more. I don't think that I've necessarily used any of the AI tools that I have in my toolbox for anything outside of things that were of interest, whether it was for my business or it was personal, right? When I wanted to, there's some tools that I recently learned about for the commercial real estate industry, because I'm in commercial real estate as well. And it helped me to leverage really placing myself and being of value, where I put together a podcast that didn't require me to sit there and actually record the whole podcast myself. It was my voice. I gave it the topics. I gave it the talking points. Of course, I had to go back in again, and I had to work on those prompts. I had to make sure it was delivering the message that I wanted to deliver, that it sounded like me. Yes, the wording, the way that I speak, down to my vocal intonations, it can do all of those things. But you have to teach it how to do that. And that's where Courtney was talking about the prompts and the power of the prompts. and making sure that we are teaching our bot how, or programming our bot to do and to regurgitate what it is that we need from it. Otherwise, that's when people become frustrated, and that's when they want to quit, and that's when they no longer want to go forward, and they're just like, oh, it's too much, right? And so we want to eliminate that, especially for marginalized communities, because that's how we get left behind. We just stop. We don't continue to learn. We don't continue to keep up with the trend. You know, it's hot right now, and then we shift our mind and we're on to something new. And we want to avoid that, and we want to move into a direction of ensuring that we are taking advantage of the opportunities that are before us. Now, what I definitely want to do is, if there is anyone who wants to come off of mute and ask a question, I want to open the audience up to a question. If anyone wants to come off of mute and ask their question, there are several of you who put questions in the chat. There are many of them that we've already answered. Stephen, I don't know if you were able to come off of mute or not, but would love to have your question asked. I thought it was a really good one. But okay, Amina, I see you. Robert, was it something that you wanted to add?
I just wanted to add before we get to Amina's question. I am putting my LinkedIn connection there in chat. Please, if you have questions about this, connect with me on LinkedIn. Ask me any question. It could be a beginner question like, hey, what is ChatGPT, or anything like that. The first Thursday of every month, I do an hour long of just talking with people about technology. This is all free, just talking with people about technology, helping them to understand about how to use AI or whatever technology they want to talk about. So please connect with me. Part of, I think, what we need to do as an underestimated community is to use our resources around us and connect with people and talk about things just like we're doing here. So thank you, Lauren, for doing this. This is awesome. And I think that it's well needed. So I'm
absolutely, my pleasure. Thank you guys for volunteering. Amina, you are welcome to come off of mute and ask your question.
Okay, thank you so much. How you guys doing today?
Good. We are wonderful.
Good. So I just I've been in healthcare for the last 25 years, and I recently, actually the other day, I was at work, and I work night shift sometimes, and I was watching this podcast. They were interviewing this guy by the name of Jeffrey Hinton. I don't know if you guys, he's supposed to be the godfather of AI.
Yeah.
And so like the things that he was saying, it was kind of scary to me. It made me just want to book a ticket and just go and live in a village in Africa and just have my chickens and my goats and just be in peace, you know, with all this AI stuff. And so it's like it's gotten to the point where it's just so much, it's overstimulating, and there's so much information out there, and there's so many people with, like, you know, courses, and everybody got a course, and everyone has a program, and everyone has this, to the point where you don't even know like where to go, who to go to, who to trust, who not to trust, who's clone, who's an avatar, who's a human, who's a this and who's a that. I'm just trying to figure out, like, how do you protect your mental from all of this, because this is starting to get really mental. Like, a lot of people, you know, they losing their jobs. A lot of people, you know, it is really, I'm talking to, like, I have a lot of patients who have, you know, lost their jobs because of this right here. And so my question is, like, you know, how do we as Black people protect ourselves? Because in the Jeffrey Hinton's interview, he basically said was like, we're in trouble, right? And then in the interview, the guy asked him, was like, okay, well, what would you tell people who are right now trying to find looking for careers? And he was like, well, be a plumber. So and you know, if you read the comments, you know, people was like, well, gee, thanks. Like, you're 76 years old and you're about to die, and now you're telling us to go be plumbers, so we all should run out of here and be plumbers. Like people are just really just like, mentally people are getting very, very, very depressed and having a lot of anxiety with this. And so I feel like we're teaching people how to do the AI, but are we really dealing with everything else that's going on? So to me, that's very important.
Do either of you want to speak to that, Courtney or Dr. Joseph?
Thank you.
You're welcome, Amina.
Yeah, I'll jump in, and I want to applaud everyone for sharing resources with one another in the chat. I'm not able to respond but I got a lot of resources and tools to share. Like while we're live, I'm trying to pay attention. However, thank you for that. That's such an important point. I mean, only because I was in a computer science conference recently, and they actually had everyone put down their phones and do some quiet meditative time, because even screen time itself has been associated with depression and all types of things. You all can find the studies that are out there. I think it goes back to kind of one of the common themes that we've been talking about. And it's to, and not to say I have a full-on solution for this question, Amina, but to lean into yourself. Me personally, and this is just a Courtney thing, if I feel anxious or stressed and I'm like, okay, this is not where I'm supposed to be. I'm moving opposite of my core in a sense, because when we're in our core, then there's peace and all that. And I won't get too therapeutic on you, but also not to feel overwhelmed, to lean into your true value proposition. Companies only care, no matter how much they love us, with of the value that we bring. And so one of the key things that we can do, one of the best things we can do for ourselves from a workforce development perspective, is to make yourself invaluable. Study that. Like, how do I increase my value? We would love to think everyone's fluffy and cares and loves everybody. But at the end of the day, when these big box companies are looking at layoffs and everything, they're looking at what value does this person bring? Are they a detriment? Do they, what do they bring? So the best thing you can do is to continue to increase, or any of us can do, our value to where we are just simply irreplaceable, being confident in that. No AI tool, no certification, no anything is going to give you the one up, so to speak, as far as making that. So not feeling the pressure, not succumbing to the pressure. And this anxiety is real, because even our young people, we hear it even in the higher learning space, are under a tremendous amount of anxiety for all the pressure in tech, to have this, to have the certification, to have that. And so you really have to know how to filter out. And to that end, mentorship is needed as well. And so I may drop in the chat, there's a couple of communities that are doing a lot when it comes to mentorship, even around AI. I've done a couple of cohorts myself, but just being connected in community, common things, your corporate ERG. I led one of our, people of color groups, just staying connected in community. And I'll just say real quick, that's one of the dangers of all the tech, is that when we lose the power of community and being connected in community, people are now in silos, and we don't have that safeguard that we used to have 10, 20, 30 years ago. Conversation, water cooler conversation, all those things, because people are in their silos, they're thinking on their own, but we still need each other. We still need each other. So that human interaction and human connection and collaboration and problem solving and all that. So make sure that's still a part of your work as well, because we truly are better together.
I absolutely agree, Courtney. And if nothing else taught us, that COVID taught us the importance of being connected and how interconnected we are. It also taught us, I think a lot of people started to tap into the importance of the mental health, right?
Yes.
And you can't get away from that. It's not a practice that's temporary. It has to be consistent, especially with the day and age that we live in. And so what that looks like, I'm like you, Courtney. I do my meditation. If it's starting to cause me any type of anxiety or or I'm not even going to say discomfort, because in order to grow, sometimes we have to be uncomfortable. But discomfort, that's something different, right? But if it raises any type of anxiety inside of me, I have done so much introspection in knowing who I am and what my purpose is. Purpose is always at core. I'm going to say that again, that I am able to quickly recognize it and navigate away from it. I think, and this is something that I saw a lot with my students when I was teaching, it made no sense to me, the concept of cyberbullying. How are you going to bully me behind a computer screen and then I see you at school the next day and nothing is really said? It made, and these kids were having high anxiety issues and depression behind it. And so you're right in terms of screen time, whether it's just looking at your computer screen, working on a project or social media. I will go outside. I'm big on grounding. I will go outside, take my shoes off, and I will just have a moment with the earth, and I will take deep breaths. If you can't quiet your mind enough to meditate, it's okay. A lot of people get frustrated with themselves in terms of meditation because, oh, I didn't do it right. I can't. There is no right or no wrong. It's just you trying to center yourself and calm your nervous system enough for where you can be productive once again. So I'll stop there because I can go on and on and on about that too. And I know, Robert, you had something that you wanted to add. And then I'm going to come to you, Stephen, because I know you had the first question.
Two things I wanted to say. One, Jeff was, I know Jeff. He was a beginning faculty member when I was at CMU there. And the thing about not just Jeff, but people talking about AI is that technology has the ability to save lives and it has the ability to take lives. And so, yeah, that was true when the atom bomb was created. That was true, all during history when fire and all this other stuff were created. The difference now is that technology is moving at a faster rate and it's causing more, I think, anxiety because people aren't able to keep up with it like they were when the car was invented or the cell phone was invented. Now technology is moving at a more rapid pace. The other thing that is happening too is that it's also becoming more powerful. So individuals now have the power to affect many lives versus in the past, the individual only had the ability to affect people that were right around them. We as a company, Team Mindshift, believe in training the whole person. So embedded in our curriculum is a wellness component, is a critical thinking and soft skill component, and is the skill set component. And those things I think are needed in any training that's being done. We're talking about workforce and talent development. Those are the components that are needed in any training that's done, because what you're training people for is to be in the workplace, not to have a particular skill set. And in the workplace, you bring your whole self to bear. And so you need to train people to deal with that. We have videos for breathing exercises and stretching exercises that can be done in 1 or 2 minutes. And in our curriculum, we say, okay, here's an opportunity to do one of those if you haven't, and to start experiencing that. So those are the things I wanted to point out.
No, you're 1,000% correct. And that even goes back to our foods that we eat, right? All of that plays a very big part in all of this as well, which I have a gift that I'm going to send to you all here shortly. But Stephen, I know you had asked your question a little while ago in the chat, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to bring your question to the table. So I'm going to ask you to unmute since you finally found the raise your hand icon, and go ahead and ask your question.
I did. Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, thank you for being here today. I really came to this meeting, honestly, looking for, I guess what everybody else is looking for, how to move forward with AI. And right now, the position that I'm in, I am actually a founder. I have a prototype, which was supposed to be kind of like a POC, a functioning app that I was supposed to be able to gather users and followers, but I won't get into that because that's the business part of it as to why it's just a prototype right now. But to make it the best that it absolutely can be, I will be incorporating AI. That's the vision I see for it. In fact, the things that we can do with AI right now is almost essential for this. And I also have another IP, which absolutely would change how we interact with music And I actually have a physical product as well that will need an app that will also be able to benefit from AI. So I thought that this meeting was very important because all three of my IPs that I have, essentially, the goal is to get to the point, not to just get it off the ground, but to incorporate AI in it, essentially, because I'll need it, especially with the second IP. It wasn't possible until AI became such an accessible thing. So going back to my question is right now I'm a founder, I'm on the ground, I have no network here in Atlanta. I honestly didn't plan on staying in Atlanta. COVID kind of changed my plans for that, so I never actually built a network here. I've been trying to get into the Atlanta Tech Village. I don't understand what the holdup is with them, but right now I'm trying to figure out like how I can leverage AI to help me, because the one thing that I have learned after becoming a founder, I've been so focused on like the technology and stuff like that, when really my job is to sell. And right now I'm trying to utilize AI and leverage AI on how I can become um, a better networker, meeting with the right people, getting in front of the right people, finding out who the right people are. Because again, I haven't built a network here in Atlanta, and unfortunately, like my life is just gone to the point where all my old networks don't even really matter anymore. And I'm just, I guess, like I said, my question is to look how I can leverage AI to help me as a tech founder moving forward.
Let me take that one. The first thing, Stephen, is I put in my LinkedIn link, so you can now say you have begun to build your network in Atlanta instead of that you don't have one. The first Tuesday of every month, I think it's from 7 to 8. I just open up a Zoom call for anybody that wants to come in and talk about those issues that you're talking about, Stephen, or any other issues. I would say the best way to build up a network here and to use AI is to actually work on building up a network and asking AI, what are some of the ways in which I can build a network? I find that building a network can be easy if you are interested in the other person and you just talk with people. I have met somebody on an elevator that worked for NVIDIA and was doing work with the with HBCUs, and that took all of 10 seconds, and now he's part of my network. So I'm just saying that you know, Tuesdays, you can meet with me the first Tuesday of every month and can talk about those issues. And I say that it really is about doing it.
Courtney, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
No, I think that's good. Yes, I mean, you're at the right place. Be quick because I know there's other hands, but you were in the right place. This is a good start. Kudos to you for joining this call. There's, oh goodness, tens of LinkedIn connections in the chat. There's also several like even Black in Tech conferences. I can hardly keep up, but there's even one in Atlanta that's coming up. I don't know, Robert, do you know it offhand?
I don't know. There's so many.
Okay, there's so many, but I would just say, connect with those. There's nothing like in-person connections.
Rice Center.
Yeah, I'm
ABC.
huge.
I was just about to say, I was going to say the Russell Center, but I was also going to say
yeah,
the
ABC.
Atlanta Black Chambers.
Yeah.
When I tell you so, and I'm gonna make this quick because I can go on about ABC, and I'm not just saying this because I'm the chair of a committee. I'm saying this because of what I've experienced. So in the pandemic is when I became, like 2020, literally is when I became an entrepreneur. I was looking for a group, a community. I literally was looking for a community because I was like yourself. I had relocated to Atlanta. I didn't have a network. I needed to establish a network. That much I knew. And I was in the pandemic. I'm high risk. I have asthma, so I couldn't be out and around people. So I said, okay, how can I do this? ABC came across my Instagram page. That's if I knew AI was listening.
That's it.
Came across my Instagram page out of nowhere. And I started listening to Tuesday Talk calls. I listened to 4 of them, and I said it's a no-brainer. If I'm getting this type of value and these type of resources and connections for free, I need to join this organization because imagine what I can get if I'm a member. And when I tell you, there is not a room, there is not a group, there is not an organization, public or private, that ABC cannot touch, that ABC cannot get you in the room to. I am telling you, if I have not given you any other information today, Stephen, join ABC if you have not already. If you have joined ABC, talk to me. We will get you in where you need to fit in to move how you need to move around the organization. But it has definitely been very, very, very valuable investment for me, hands down. It was the one, and it plugged me into a whole bunch of other different communities, Government Contractors Association, the Russell Center, some of the international business opportunities that have come my way. There are a lot of opportunities coming from ABC, governmental affairs opportunities. Just if you aren't a part of it, there goes another network for you. Come on and join us, okay? All right, Nikki, I'm going to bring the floor to you. You had a question that you wanted to ask.
Good afternoon, everyone. It wasn't as much as a question. I wanted to try to comment or give it to the young lady that came on about, I think she named the gentleman as the godfather of AI.
Oh, yes.
And so she had mentioned saying, go be a plumber. So I want to kind of just share with everybody on here that AI is innovative technology. But what I want to say that I'm almost certain that the gentleman was mentioning, because I am an ABC fan, so I'm on public policies at times, and this same conversation kind of came up probably a few months back, to be honest. And I think how people are misinterpreting when someone says that, they're not saying don't be great. What they really are saying is, I think we're putting too much focus in how we're perceiving technology, and we're thinking that we need to jump in, as another young lady said earlier, get all these different certifications, when truth is we are the inventors, right? We're already innovative. Our community is. What he's saying is don't lose track and get too caught up in that. Start looking at other industries that are necessities. See, we've always thought technology because we hear STEAM, we think about math, but again, as someone said earlier, when did we pull out a sheet of paper and start doing division? I haven't done an algebra problem since I left college. I had no need to, but if I probably knew some of the things that I know now back then, I may have even added a few things that I don't have. So saying that goes back to, I want people to somewhat take a little bit of an ease and then start looking at the skill sets that you have that put you in positions for the necessities. Now, some of those necessities might not be in the direct scope of what you're doing. For example, plumbing. Now, he's saying plumbing because no matter what happens in this world, there's always a plumber that would be needed. A roofer always will be needed. It's just certain industries that we have to just sit back and think will always be needed. Now, within that industry, how does your skill set play into that industry? You could be the HR person. Do you understand plumbing to be able to speak to more employees or opportunities or expansion or scaling? That's what I truly believe he meant. He may have run out of time that it sounds so simplistic, right? And so it'll make a person be like, are you serious? Like, are you really real? But there are other industries out there that we may want to consider. And then when you're using AI, I think a young lady said earlier, think about your own skill sets. Tell AI exactly what you all are saying on this platform. Tell it what you want it to do. Tell it what it is that you're looking for. Tell it who you are. And then type in a few things and then see what it comes back, right? And then that return, now you can take that and that's an added flavor versus allowing it to overwhelm you because it's so much information, right? And also keep in mind that information was created, curated by a human being. So it does errors. So don't think this thing is just, as we like to say, seamless. There is still some glitches, there's still some hiccups, and it's okay. But I just think we all just have to kind of take a step back and just breathe and just realize that this is really a tool that we can use to make our lives a little bit more efficient and effective, but don't take it too mentally where you get so caught up in it, right? But just keep in mind, start looking at some of those career opportunities that we probably thought the least about, right? No offense, a lot of people think about project management. Guess what? They're popular now, right?
Mhm.
Need it, right? And then you got to think about also electrical. It's imperative. I know some people probably don't even know how far electrical can go, right? But if you start looking at some of those avenues, I think that's what he means when he's saying, let's not get too caught up in the doctor, lawyer, industry chief, and some of the medical stuff that we do and some of the tech stuff we do. It can replace some of those things, right? Because of the technology that is used in those positions. But it's not going to be much technology going to be able to come in and do plumbing. Not going to be much technology going to be able to come in for electrical. So those are just some of the things that in our innovative, creative, and strategic thoughts, we just got to pull back for a second and think about, who am I really? What is it that I'm trying to do? And what is it that I want to do? And then ask maybe AI, who are those people that I should be connected with? And lastly, definitely connect with ABC. But if you all have not gotten on Alignable, that's a good connector too. I believe it's more of a B2B. I don't like too much to say networking, because you can go in and give all the cards you want. But if you haven't actually connected with anyone, does you no justice. But Alignable, it doesn't need all the reels and the videos. It is real.
Yeah.
Real people speaking on who they are. And then every now and then the system picks up your algorithm and tell you who you should be connected to, and it'll send some of those people to you. So that's another way for some of you all who are new to this market and attempting to build up your, I guess you would say, your Rolodex. That was my
Yes.
piece.
Thank you, Nikki. I was just about to have to cut you. So I'm glad, but no, you gave some valuable insights. Yes, I'm familiar with Alignable as well. It is a great tool, and there were a lot of great gems and tips that were just introduced from Nikki's perspective. So thank you. So I'm going to go over to Keystone, because you were my next person, and you had a question that you wanted to ask. Now, at this point, unfortunately, I will be keeping time just to make sure we are within our time span. But Keystone, if you wanted to come off of mute and ask your question, feel free to do so now.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing your
You are
insight with
welcome.
us. I really appreciate your perspective. I have two related questions. First, can AI make us less intelligent by doing too much of our thinking for us? And the second one would be, what do you think about some opinion like Elon Musk, who said AI could surpass human intelligence and become uncontrollable? Do you think that is a realistic scenario?
Okay, so let me make sure I understand. So your first question was around AI making us less intelligent, which
Yes,
that's a
correct.
misconception that I've heard often as well. My personal opinion, my answer is going to be no, because you still have to think and know what prompts to put into the systems in order for it to produce what it is that you need. But I will let either Courtney or Dr. Joseph respond to that really quick. And we're only going to be able to answer one of those questions at this time. For the sake of time, we have 3 other people that need to get their questions asked as well. So we're going to stop with that one question. But if one of you could answer his question on whether you think AI is going to make us less intelligent as a whole.
I'll be
Oh.
super quick. I'll jump in, and you can. I'll probably leave you enough space to add in, Robert, should you want to. But I think that, being that there are so many that already struggle with imposter syndrome, it's just like money. It'll make you more of who you are, in a sense. So I think that AI can also foster personal development that's not necessarily authentic to your true and even best self. So you do have to be careful with that, because a lot of people say, oh, okay, I can just upskill in AI and, just kind of lay this over myself as a mask without truly authentically being upskilled and developing in their passion and purpose. Kind of some of the themes that we've seen. Sorry, I'm talking fast, y'all. Let me slow down. And the themes that we've seen. So thinking of the opposite again of artificial intelligence, okay, it is authentic human intelligence and wisdom, real intelligence. And so I do think it does have the capacity to not challenge us to use our creative thinking as we need to. However, if we use it correctly, it can amplify our work. It can amplify our outcomes if attached to the right thing. So it all depends on what your foundation is when you apply it. There's some studies out there. A lot of people went crazy because they saw a study that said, okay, there's brain use that, and I'll pop the study in the chat in a minute, that, people are not thinking as creatively because of AI. I think it's debatable. I think we're going to continue to see studies about that. We don't have a wraparound answer for that, but there's a lot to indicate that we definitely need to own how we're using it. And so that's the danger in just being in this big playground of sandbox of AI, is not using our thinking. I have a college student myself, and I said, I had to tell my own child, you need to think your way through this. AI is a tool. And so coaching through that and all that. So I'll pause there in case anyone else wants to add in.
Yeah, just really quickly. I think it depends on how you measure intelligence. I'll tell you right now, I do not know how to shoe a horse. But at some point, that was actually a lifelong, that was a skill that could save your life. You could be riding, and if your horse wasn't, had the right shoes, you could be stranded and it could kill you. So yeah, technology has a way of changing the things that you need to learn and how you need to learn them. And if you measure that as intelligence, then yes. The other component to that is, I think that the use, how to use the technology is really dependent on what it is that you're trying to do too. And if you need critical thinking skills, then you need critical thinking skills. And now how does that play into the use of AI? Your second question about going rampant, I think any technology has the ability to go rampant. If we didn't have things in place for how to use nuclear weapons, then that's also something that could go rampant. I think that there needs to be some, and there's a lot of discussion about that. We're not going to solve it on this call. But if you are interested in that, I would say get involved in those discussions and help to put the guardrails in place, or the things in place that need to be put there to make it more safe.
Perfect. Thank you both. And I hope that definitely answered your questions, Keystone, and got you moving in the direction that you were looking for. Okay, good. All right, Letitia, we're coming to you, and then we have two more, and we will close out. And Letitia, I believe you're going to speak about the Beauty Initiative, if I am not mistaken.
Yes. Good morning. Thank you, Lauren, for this opportunity and information. So my question is, the beauty industry is really incorporated in AI as we see it now, and changing our look and, giving a certain look to a person. How is that going to affect our industry? In particular, I'm a nail technician. So how will this help? Will it hinder? Will it change the perspective of the nail industry? Because one thing I do see is a machine that is giving a nail service. Um, and it's like, to me, is that safe? Is that effective? Will people, feel like that would take the place of a nail technician? The customer service, the feel of a real person actually interacting and giving services in this industry. So
that's a good question.
So
I'm gonna personally say no. Because I like the person, that human interaction. But go ahead, Dr. Joseph.
I would say that, and this applies to any industry, I would say that look at your industry and look at what you can provide that is uniquely you and what people will pay for. And then start to do that, or start to go in that area. I think that there are machines that are going to be able to do the nails different ways, but look at how you could use those machines, or how you could use it to create things in your mind. Like, nails are amazing to me because there's so many different ways of doing it and so many different things that you need to do and stuff like that. But you could use AI yourself to figure out for this particular person, do I use gel? Do I use some other type of paint on their nails, or what's the best nails color for their skin tone and stuff like that? And you could start to not educate, but start to use it to help you with giving the customer what they want in a way that is helping them to be better. So just in any industry, figure out how to adopt the tools and move forward with it.
All
Hey,
right.
great. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Absolutely, Letitia. Thank you. And Robert, we are coming to you next, and then Moon, you're going to close us out. So Robert, I'm going to ask you to unmute, and you can definitely jump on and share your question.
Good afternoon. How's everybody this afternoon? Can everybody hear me okay?
Doing amazing, Robert. We're sorry. We were just thinking that you were just going to go right into your question. We are doing amazing. Thank you.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Okay, so anything that comes as a disruptor, which AI is, I always believe that you need to follow the money and look at the money aspect behind it. Real quick, I want to suggest everyone I listen to the New York Times podcast, on a daily basis, and on Monday, the topic was Inside the AI Talent Wars. And it's a segment about all the money that's being thrown into the AI arms race, from Google to OpenAI to Meta, and the competitive nature that's happening from a talent standpoint in order for all these different entities to be the leader in the AI race. So I highly recommend it. Like I said, again, it's the New York Times Daily. It's their daily podcast. The title of the episode is called Inside the AI Talent Wars. When you listen to this segment, for those that are not all the way immersed into AI, it will give you an eye opener of how important and how game-changing artificial intelligence is going to be for the future.
And you said it's titled Inside the AI
Talent Wars.
Talent Wars. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. No,
Yes.
That's really good insight. And it'll definitely help people to get ahead of the curve and being proactive versus reactive, because unfortunately, many of us, a lot of us have a tendency to be reactive instead of proactive. So that's a great tidbit, Robert. Did you have a question, or did you just want to share that with us?
No, I just wanted to share that. That's all. I just wanted to share that because, I've heard several individuals speak of AI from a fear component.
Mm-hmm.
And, definitely with our culture, a lot of times we're the last to engage, or we also get left behind. And,
Mm-hmm.
It's important to understand how large this is on a global scale. I went to China a couple months ago, and America, the United States, we've always been at battle or in competition with Chinese culture and technology. And to actually be there, I understand now why we're in competition with them and why it's so important for America, as well as Black culture, to get up to par when it comes to technology and being able to be incorporated in the things that are going to advance life as we speak.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's a whole nother conversation and topic that we could get into in itself, in terms of the advancement of the technology and some of the dependency and the strategic movements that have occurred on an international scale and with some of the other economies. And yeah, we're not even gonna get on that soapbox. But yes, Robert, you 1,000% accurate. Thank you for sharing.
Oh,
and
thank
Moon, you are most welcome. Moon, we're going to close out with you. Did you have a question or a bit of value that you would like to? Oh, I'm sorry, I muted you. Did you have a question or a bit of insight that you would like to add to the conversation before we close out?
Yes, good afternoon, good morning. Thank you so much, Moon from Atlanta here. I work in the pharmaceutical business, managing a global program. I work with different continent, big farmers, and I use AI to help me in my daily job. I even integrated my email system to AI, so AI can read my emails, summarize. I deal with hundreds of email per day, big files to analyze. So AI been helping me a lot, but I have a concern myself. Am I putting, my organization data in the public space, and what can I do to safeguard, the data I'm putting there? So if you have any advice or any technical guidance to help me to figure out so I don't expose my organization to the public.
Okay, I'm going to leave that to those who are experts. Robert and Dr. Joseph and Courtney, if either of you can speak to Moon's concern and question.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You wanted to, I'll jump in real quick. So I would, because you can purchase different platforms as a business, I would actually set up some time to talk with that platform with a rep from them and talk about, because there's so many different ones. I'll be candid, I use Perplexity the most. I actually had to have that conversation as well for my business to understand what are the risks, what are, just assess everything. I don't deal with public health, so you may have data sets that are a little more private, HIPAA laws and different things like that. I'm not going to be able to give expertise in that area, but they definitely, if you set up some time with whatever platform you're looking at using, they're going to have, they'll be able to walk you through that. It's just so much out there. There's not a magic bullet solution for that.
Hold on, Robert, you're muted. Let me unmute you. There you go.
Sorry. Yeah, those are good. And I have 3 additional pieces of advice for you. One, there are open source LLMs and other LLMs that you can put on your own server. I bought a Mac Mini so that I can run some LLMs, and they even have, if you go to LLM Studio, it is a free service that you could put on a MacBook, a Mac Mini, or a laptop, and then you can select some of the open source LLMs and try them out and see if they will help your business. And the reason that I say open source is because that is run locally to your machine. No data is shared anywhere, and so you are guaranteed, as much as you can guarantee something, that your data is not leaking out. The second thing is that you should read the privacy agreements for the different companies. So for instance, we have the paid version of ChatGPT, and it says that OpenAI will not use any of the data that's put in there for retraining their models. So that also provides you to have some trust in the company, but you should read each one of the AI tools that you use, because Google is different than ChatGPT or OpenAI and so forth and so on. So you should know that. And the third is that, especially with HIPAA laws and stuff like that, I would not put any personally identifiable information in the system. So you could actually clean your data. So for instance, for when I ask it to rewrite a mail message, I'll take the people's names out and put person 1, person 2, person 3 there, so that it safeguards at least the people that I'm talking to. It still has the context for the emails, and if the context is something that you don't want people to know that your company's doing, then you've got to weigh that. But those are my three things that I would say you might want to think about.
Oh yeah, no, that was great, because I just learned some things as well that I didn't know that could help me with real estate clients and keeping their information safeguarded, right? So thank you for those tips, both of you. So those are our questions. We've wrapped up the question portion of everything, and we want to close out on a strong note because we want to make sure that we respect everyone's time. But before we do that, I want to give Courtney and Dr. Joseph an opportunity to leave us with any very last thoughts. We'll take about a minute each to do that, and either of you can go first, whomever would like to.
Courtney?
I
Go
was
ahead.
going to leave to you. Go in
Too
first
slow.
last time.
Too slow. I'll go then.
Okay.
My one bit of advice is just do it. Just get on, try it out. Stop those conversations in your mind about, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, or oh, this or that, and just do it. You know, don't put any personal information in. Try it out. Have some fun with it. Pick something you're interested in and go for it. And again, my information's there. So link with me. You don't have to do it alone. You've got a community here that supports you. Link with me and I'll help you out.
Yeah. My advice would be to lean into the intelligence that's right around you. That could be your friend, your colleague. Continue to use those conversations to ask questions. All of a sudden, we want to ask AI all these questions, but we have human beings all around us. So I do wonder about that at times. When we look at community, consensus, support, surveying, feedback, the most valuable resource you have is people. It's still human capital. That has not changed. So don't forget that. Use these tools as an add-on. Use them to increase your own value proposition. Use them to enhance your professional development to be your best self. But don't forget that the prize is really you and what you invest in yourself, and that you are irreplaceable. AI is going to change. It's going to have hallucinations. It's going to have problems. It's going to be shift. Even with administration changes, it's going to shift a lot. And so understand just how to set yourself apart using that tool to help advance your own skill set.
Absolutely. Okay, so y'all are dynamic. I have to thank both of you first and foremost for joining us today and for taking the time out to share your insight and your expertise with us, because there are even some things that I learned along the way in this conversation, and even some of you in the audience and our attendees who decided to come and join and share some nuggets and some tips and some tools and resources. You are much appreciated, and we thank you so much for it. It looks like we may have to turn this into a little mini series of some sort. I don't know. We're gonna have a conversation, because there's a lot of questions. People still need their look at all the hearts. People need their hands held. They're just like, listen, I want to do this, but I need some more consideration. I need some people that I trust. And apparently the face of trust looks like us, which is a good thing and a good position to be in, right? And so I want to thank all of you who attended today for taking the time out of your schedule to join us. I have to say this, Courtney and Dr. Joseph, this was our first webinar as we have reignited the Education and Workforce Development Committee, and we had over 100 participants join us today, which is like, that is typically not how the very first initiative starts out. So I'm super excited. I'm super thankful. I'm very impressed. Thank you both again for leveraging your expertise. If you are on a desktop and you have not saved the chat, please do save the chat. There's a lot of valuable information in that chat. Okay. If you're on a mobile device and you cannot save the chat, you can send me an email. I will send the chat to you as I have saved it, of course. This is being recorded, so you will be able to access it on our YouTube channel, and you will be able to see it in our rewind with the Atlanta Black Chambers. And last but not least, I have put my contact information in the chat, including the email where you can reach me should you need any additional support or information regarding the chambers. Some of you, I told you to email me so that I could ensure that you have membership information and connect you to our membership director. Some of you needed some additional insight in terms of stepping into entrepreneurship and just kind of wanted maybe somebody to bounce some ideas off of and shifting in the right direction. My contact information is in the chat for that. Drop your LinkedIn in the chat really quick if you have not done so already, or your website or any of your contact information, so that we can stay in touch. And we are building community here. I will make sure, Stephen, if you're still on here, that all the people that said that they will be willing to help you and reach out to you, we'll get those people to you. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Last but not least, more than anything else, we're in community. We have our own companies. We're also, some of us are still W-2 employees, whatever the case may be. We can have all of the conversation we would like around AI and workforce development, but if our mental is not where it needs to be, and our mental comes from our food, and our food fuels our body, right? We have to be mindful of all of these things as we continue to splurge ahead on this journey, because this journey called life is ongoing. We're always building, we're always growing, we're always changing, we're always experiencing. And because of that, we have to stay healthy in as many capacities as possible. So if you need to take 5 minutes to do some deep breathing, or you need to take 2 minutes to do some quick chair stretches, or you need to fuel your body with the right foods, I need you all to understand that you need to take the time to do that, because if you are not right from head to toe, you cannot serve your purpose in this life. And we each have a very special purpose to serve. Your skill sets and who God made you to be cannot be replaced by any machine. And I need you to find some confidence in that, walk tall in that, and take that with you as you continue throughout your day and throughout this life. So again, thank you all so much. It has been an absolute pleasure. I'm really glad we did this, and y'all stay tuned for more and more and more valuable information coming from our Education and Workforce Development Committee. Have a
Great
wonderful
job,
day.
Lauren. Great job.
Thanks. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye, everybody.